Hi everyone. Since today is the 7th of December, I thought it would be appropriate to discuss some books about the USS Arizona, the battleship that was so tragically and catastrophically destroyed on the attack on Pearl Harbor. The books that we'll be looking at today are the USS Arizona, the Submerged Cultural Resources Study of the USS Arizona, and the big, beautiful Battleship Arizona by Paul Stillwell. Let's begin with USS Arizona. The ship, the symbol, the men, and the attack. This book was published in 2001 to commemorate the 60th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor and the loss of the USS Arizona. And let me just get my one gripe out of the way right now. It says here that it is the only full-length book on the great ship and its beautiful resting place, which is flat out wrong, because they have also included this book in its bibliography. And quite frankly, this, as it stands, is the ultimate work on the USS Arizona. But we'll come to Paul Stillwell's masterpiece further down the track. With this book, co-authored by Jasper, James Delgado, and Jim Adams, we get a insight into the history of the battleship and what life was like in the American Navy during the late 30s and very early 1940s. Being the Arizona and being the book to commemorate the event of Pearl Harbor and the symbol that the USS Arizona has become, the focus of this book lies in the attack itself, the accounts of the survivors and their harrowing attempts to escape the blazing inferno of their sinking battleship, and the evolution of the wreck from reminder of defeat to the memorial that it is today. The tone of the book goes from emotional to reverential, and you expect that with this type of book. And no doubt it will resonate with its target audience. I bought this book back in 2001 and actually had it with me while I was in Hawaii in 2002. And the one thing that stands out for me after all these years are the accounts of the survivors. The hell that they had to go through to escape their battleship as it was burning and sinking into the harbor bottom. Those will always stand out with me, and for those who read this book, those accounts will probably leave the greatest impact. It is an emotional book, and one that is designed to appeal to the national, patriotic, and retrospective heartstrings of, well, primarily Americans, but also those who look back on World War II with a sense of nostalgia. That is USS Arizona by Jasper, James Delgado, and Jim Adams. The other book that we will look at is the magnum opus on the history of the USS Arizona, and it is this magnificent volume by Paul Stillwell. It's a chunky book. Again, if this was out of steel, this would be armor plating. This book is the complete history of the USS Arizona, from its design through to construction, launching, its 2-decade-long career before 1941. Its various refits, reconstructions, deployments. It starred in a movie. It had a collision with the USS Oklahoma. It's even served as a yacht for one of the presidents. Naturally, the attack on Pearl Harbor is described in detail, as is the sinking, and critically in the history of the USS Arizona. He also looks at the decades post-World War II, right through to the construction of the memorial and the wreck today. Not only how it is being managed, but also how it is being taken care of. Being an illustrated history, and as you are seeing up there, it is profusely illustrated with photos of crew members, the ship, admirals. There are some beautiful cutaways and diagrams of the ship as it was when first constructed, through its various refits, its epic rebuild, and the condition of the wreck today. This book is written in a more objective and observational style. The focus on this book is allowing the Arizona to come alive through the accounts of those who were involved with the ship, through their letters, interviews, and memories. And considering the passage of time, the value of those oral accounts just increases markedly, because this is an era of history that it is now moving beyond living memory. So to have the words of the men and the families who are involved with this ship is just priceless. Between the two books, the first one is a very much condensed and reverential look at the ship and the symbol that it's become, which is why it is so reverential. It is reverential of the symbol. Whereas Paul Stillwell's book, the USS Arizona, An Illustrated History, is a history of the ship through the men who lived and crewed and died on board, as well as all the technical information about what made the USS Arizona the battleship that it was. So you have a choice between the two. You can do what I did and get both. I bought this one when I was actually at the memorial for the Arizona, before you get onto the wreck itself. And the third book, technically it's not a book, it's more like a report composed of a series of essays, but still worth sharing with you, is this one. The Submerged Cultural Resources Study. This is basically a report that looks at the wreck of the USS Arizona, but what is also fantastic about this is that it looks at the heritage of Pearl Harbor and the relics of the attack itself, which also includes, and as you can see up here, the wreck of the USS Utah. So USS Arizona takes the bulk of the focus, naturally, and then awareness goes to the USS Oklahoma, and there is one good book about the history of that ship. And then, almost forgotten on the sidelines, there is the USS Utah. There is one book out there that documents the history of it. However, I haven't yet committed to buying it and reviewing it. The blurb does not sound encouraging, but that's separate. Let's go back to this. This book is basically a series of essays that look at not only the history of the battleship and the attack on Pearl Harbor, but also the biological condition of the wreck itself, the historical learnings that we can take from studying the wreck, the way the memorial was built, the way it is run, and the way history and memory is being preserved. So it's a variety of different components coming together into this report. For me, the draw for this report when I bought it, all the way back when I was visiting the wreck, was the diagrams and the information regarding to the condition of the wreck itself. Being a purely scientific and technical document, the language can be dry, but for those who are fascinated in site formation, wreck formation, and how the environment reclaims the wrecks, this is incredible reading for you. As well, for those who are interested in museum studies, the preservation of history, and not only the documentation, but also how we collectively share the memories of history, then this book is also a fascinating insight because it includes a chapter from the people who actually manage the memorial for the USS Arizona. So, there you have it. 3 books about a ship that was tragically lost on the day of infamy. To rate them, alrighty, so to rate them, this one is a 3.5 captain's hats. This one will appeal to those who are interested in the scientific, analytical, biological side to wrecks and historical management, museum studies. This is a technical document. For USS Arizona, the ship, the symbol, the attack, this one is also 3.5 captain's hats. It does exactly what the subtitle says. It brings to life the men who served on board the ship during that fateful day, how they survived, those that unfortunately did not, and then how the wreck itself has become to symbolize this iconic moment in American and naval history. Now, for this one, it's a 5 captain's hats. This book has everything. From its breadth of the entire lifespan of the ship, from birth, life, death, reconstruction, and reinterpretation, through to the technical histories, to the accounts of those who lived on board, not just on December 7th, 1941, but right through the life of the ship. This is a complete history, and this is history done very well. So for Paul Stillwell's Battleship Arizona, this is a 5 captain's hats. Let me know if there are any other books about battleships that you'd like reviewed, and I'll definitely add them into the queue. I hope this helps you consider picking up any of these 3 as well to add to your library. So, until next time, enjoy and happy reading, everyone.